Dr. Nick Araza, Santa Barbara Family Chiropractic. We're talking about why we mash. There's lots of different devices that we can mash with: lacrosse balls, supernovas, tennis balls, foam rollers. Okay, and they're all awesome. You can even use cardboard. You can use the edge of a coffee table. You can use even your shin bone, depending on what you're mashing. Okay, but the reason that we mash is ultimately, let's see if we can balance that right there. Is scar tissue and adhesions form in muscle bellies. And when they do that from static postures or from injury, long-standing chronic, they can get all gnarled up. And so what we're mashing is like ironing a shirt. You're going to iron that and mash it out. Okay, it's a little bit more uncomfortable than ironing. Well, that's not true if you were putting iron on yourself. But anyway, we're trying to get that stuff smooth so it glides nice and easy. So mashing can be uncomfortable, okay, but it shouldn't be painful. At least not invasively painful, therapeutically so. So it's something to tolerance, okay? Typically the more people can tolerate, the better, but there is a limitation, okay? So when you're doing mashing, it hurts, you want to keep that under typically like a scale of 7 out of 10 in terms of a pain scale, 10 being horrible, 0 is nothing. So it can get pretty intense, but it should stay therapeutic when you're working on different tissues. As you mash more consistently or more often or for longer periods of time or longer duration, that tissue is getting healthier should become less and less painful on that scale. So in the beginning it might be a 7, over time, a couple weeks later it might be like a 3. And the goal for mashing is to do it very consistently for a few weeks. Okay, so when you're picking a body part, laser in on that, stay with it, and just get it done. A couple times, in the beginning, a couple times a day, 2 to 3 minutes per body part. Like if you're going for your rotator cuff or your quadriceps or whatever that is, instructed by healthcare provider or coach, and hit it hard. Like hit it often. By what I mean by that, and keep it under 7. If it's as sore or less sore the next time you go to it, it's fair game. Get it again. If you go to it the next day and it's more sore, back off a day. Even 2 if you need to. Check in again. Because it can be so tight and so adhesed that when you break it apart, it creates some inflammation, and it might take a day or 2 to calm that down. So you might start slow with once a day or once every other day, and then be able to pick it up to every 2 to 3 times a day. And then as it starts to subside in terms of intensity, then you would start to reduce that. And then at some point you would only check in periodically. Now a healthy practice is eventually when you're done with your correction program, correcting subluxation, is just to be mashing body parts and stretching and rolling and different things. Somewhere around 10 minutes a day. That's a good gold standard. Picking a body part, checking in different things regularly. We've got a whole list of different exercises that you can mash and roll and stretch things, and it typically feels awesome when you're done. You really feel looser, lighter, and the best time to do mashing is pre-workout, pre-sporting event. That's going to allow for the best range of motion that you can get, which is going to allow for the least amount of injury, best performance. You also want to do test, retest. That's also something that's motivational, as well as shows you that you're doing the right thing. So for example, if you've got restricted lats or restricted rotator cuff and you come up like this and one arm can go really high and the other one can't, and you mash out what you're supposed to, then you want to retest afterwards, and you should be able to like, whoa, look at that, I got all this new range of motion back. That's cool. So I want to test, retest, make sure you're doing the right stuff. And that's really it. Spend about 1 to 3 minutes on an area, do it repetitively, and over time reduce. Then it becomes at will, in terms of if you've been given prescription, then you can reduce that over time. Okay, so make sure you got a tennis ball. You take one from us; they're free from us. These things I think are $3. These things I'm not sure. Get a foam roller. I don't know if we sell them. If we do, get one from us. And just have some stuff everywhere. One of the keys to this is leaving them throughout your house, so that a lot of times people want to do this stuff, but they just forget. So I'll just leave them in different rooms so that I'm like sitting there watching TV or reading a book or something that doesn't require much thought, and I'll be like, oh, grab that and mash while I do it. Okay. So remember, health is freedom, and it's the small stuff that creates that freedom.